Hi everybody, this is Jimmy and welcome back to Jimmy Does Knitting. This is my knitting podcast where we usually pick a topic and we go from there. Today, it's just sort of a regular podcast, what's happening in my knitting life sort of vibe, because that's where we are. Before all of that though, you can catch me as Jimmy Does Knitting on Instagram, Ravelry. I have patterns for sale on Ravelry and TikTok and YouTube. Here. So like and subscribe. Those are the things. We have some admin to go through. Life is changing in many ways for the positive, but that also means I'm a lot busier. So first of all, my yarn tracking thing, I'm still doing it, but I ordered 70 skeins of yarn in August because I was feeling some kind of way. And I'm not going to be stash neutral like I wanted to this year. It's just not going to happen. Plus, I know yarn is coming in, so we'll see how that goes. I think that my goal for 2026 is to spend less money on yarn, but I don't know about my stash size. So there's that. Also, I'm just busy. Work has changed. They're making us go into the office 5 days a week. It's been 3 days and it's already failed. Like the office is only half full today, so we'll see how long this lasts. But my seat has changed. It's changed for that. And then also, I've just been a lot busier. So there's going to be less knitting time because I can't knit on my lunch break, and I'm just going to be jet setting around Europe for a while. I have like 2 trips a month planned until like April or something like that. It's crazy. So super busy, but that will lead me to some projects. And there's a lot of stuff that's really cool and happening for knitting wise. I don't know what I can and cannot say at the current moment on many levels. I have my fingers in like a lot of pies. So we'll see what happens and I will announce it when I can get it. Some of it might be out by now. I'm not really quite sure. I'm pre-filming this. So I will probably reduce to 1 episode a month and show you kind of what I've been working on that month, how I'm feeling, all that other stuff, make announcements when I can and stuff like that. So that's the general lay of my current knitting land at the moment. Let's get into it. And the first thing that you're saying is, Jimmy, what are you wearing? You look fantastic. And the answer is, thank you. I'm wearing my new Guernsey pattern. So it is either out for testing and I've selected testers by the time that this is up, or this is the week that I'm launching the test call. I'm not really quite sure. If you're super interested in testing this, let me know. Hit me up on Instagram. That's where I'm the most active. And we can maybe arrange something, maybe not. So this is a concept of an idea, of a theme, of a notion, and it's really super easy. Guernsey knitting is like a style of knitting that's done by North Sea. It's, Guernsey is an island in the North Sea. It's typical of like fishermen that have this type of garment, right? And Guernsey, in Dutch, it's a vissestrauw. So there's a bunch of different things. And it's a basic style of sweater that has a lot of different adaptations and a lot of different ways to do it. Typically, it's knit at a very fine gauge with Guernsey wool. So it's like a tightly spun 5-ply. I've done other projects in that, and you can see that in previous videos. I think I have a project vlog on one in particular. So it's just a thing, and then there's some rules to it, but it's also very adaptable. I really like these sweaters, and I think that it's a good type of sweater to know how to knit, especially for a more masculine presenting person, and it's fall. I think that they're great in fall, but I think they're also great all the other times. So I wanted to make an approachable Guernsey pattern. Normally they're 2.5 millimeter needles, which is not gonna cut it. But if I do a DK weight, which is like my favorite weight, and I make it approachable I'm using 3.5 millimeter needles, which is like a US 6 maybe. Don't quote me on that. But and then just use all the techniques and have people be able to make it. Now, what I'm trying to do with patterns is like different constructions or teach you how to do it. Like the stuff that I'm doing has to be like I don't know, keep me interested, but also sort of have a different feel as opposed to like just as this is the written pattern and this is how we do it. Or at least that's my thoughts right now. Some will just be regular patterns, but some will not. So the idea is I teach you regular Guernsey techniques. It is approachable, and so it's not going to take forever, so people feel like they can access it. And I give you room in the pattern to design a little bit yourself. So essentially what I'm going to do is I have certain motifs. Let me show you. I have this stripe here, and then I have a moss stitch. I just did a very generic moss stitch panel at the top, and then this stripe and this stripe are the same. So the deal is I give you like the basic pattern, the numbers, and then I'll give you charts with a bunch of different moss stitch variations so that have the same stitch count, so you can just kind of plug and play depending on what you like. So if you don't like this moss stitch, but you prefer like a 1x1 or more of like a seed stitch or 2x2 or something else, that's great. You can take it, you can put it in your sweater, you can make it your own. I want to be able to give this as like a base that's like Guernsey-esque, and then people can modify it and make it their own. So the testers ideally would have sweaters that all look different from each other and maybe are not like the same pattern, but like it's the same basic pattern, and then people customize it to how they want. So that is the general idea. Let's walk through the sweater. The sweater is made with West Yorkshire Spinners, the Croft DK. I like this yarn. It is 100% Shetland yarn. I will say it is a thicker DK. This is the color Skellberry. I think it's showing up a little bit dark on my phone, which I'm recording on, but it's this nice like burgundy red. I was going to do a green, but I saw this color in their range and I really liked it, so we went with this. I got this at Ginger Twist Studio. And I highly actually recommend this, especially if you're in the UK. It's super affordable. I think I paid like £10 a skein for this, and I think it's great. So let's go over the Guernsey, and we can kind of talk about some of the modifications that you go and some of the techniques. So it is cast on from the bottom. The bottom, I want to use a traditional cast on. So I used a cable cast on, but I give instruction for a Channel Islands cast on, which is a very specific cast on for a Guernsey. You go, you knit some rib. There are letters in the back that you can put. People had those in there because if they drowned, they could be identified by their sweaters, and their initials were in their sweaters. So I put my initials on the back of my sweater. And it has this, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a purl stitch on the side that's more for marking where you are in the pattern rather than like a seam. I don't count those as structure. People say, you know, you add a purl stitch on the side and it adds structure. I don't think it does. It's just a seam. It keeps track of where you are in the pattern is really what it is. So like a lot of Guernseys, not all, but it's knit up and stockinette into a certain point. And then that is because a lot of times people drag nets on their stomachs, and this would wear out. So up until the point, you know, it could be ripped out and then re-knit top down. But this is a bottom-up construction. So ribbing, we got the stockinette, and then we have this band. This band is just like a typical thing. I thought people would like it, but it also adds a nice little bit of separation and a little bit of fun. Let's look at it. These particular motifs, these are like plow rows. And what these symbolize is like on the off season, so when you're not fishing, you're plowing the fields, and so you have a little bit of plow rows, and then this is like the back of the boat. There's like this nice little wave pattern. How did I arrive to this? You know, the band is something that is there, and this is my favorite pattern. If it's not your favorite pattern, you can substitute it with some of the moss stitch ones that I have. And then I use this moss stitch, which I think is more like southern England. I think it's like part of the musician stitch. Maybe that's not it, but it's a little bit of a different moss stitch than you typically have. It's like one row of just knits and then one row of like 2x2, and I really like it. It's something that was a little bit different, and I decided to do it. So bottom up in a tube, separate for front and back, knit the front and back. it has a gusset. So this, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a very basic diamond of fabric right here. And that allows it to be a little bit tighter to the armpit. Now, typically a Guernsey is much tighter than this. I'm wearing this with like 6 inches of positive V, maybe a little bit more. But like the idea was wind and waterproof. This is definitely not, because I didn't knit it that tight. But like the cuffs would be tighter. The sleeves would actually probably be much higher up, but still they are kind of higher up. And then, yeah, it would just be a little bit more form-fitting because you wanted it to block all that stuff, and this is a little bit too airy. But I figured it was good for sensibilities. People can always size down if they want it to be tighter, sort of thing. Shoulders. You get to the shoulders, 3-needle bind off. Love it. It's my favorite. I think it's super stable and it works. So that is how we get a little bit of the shaping. For the collar, I'm giving options for a shorter one. This is the mock neck version. And then I gave instructions for a turtleneck as well. Super simple, 1x1 ribbing, cast off to match your bind off, cast off to match your cast on, and it works. For my one personally, I did try the crochet reinforcement at the back of the collar. One thing I've noticed is a lot of my sweaters tend to like grow, because sweaters do. But I didn't want this turtleneck or this mock neck to really grow because I had that in my other Guernsey. And so I'm trying like a crochet like stability to add a little bit of structure into here in the back. I'll let you know how that goes. I think I'll put it on a couple of other sweaters that I like to wear a lot and see how that cinches it in, but that's a different story. Then sleeves are top down. So you knit the chart backwards because this is knit bottom up. So it's top down. You do the gusset shaping that decreases, and then you go down. So this is the rough thing of the pattern. It is size inclusive to fit up to a 60-inch natural bust, and then it's unisex. And I think one thing that really helps with the unisex are the gussets, because the yoke, I start from the top of this pattern, but then you still knit, but the gussets allow for like freedom of movement, which is what they were designed for. So it like cinches it up, but you don't feel like you have something in your armpit, so it can fit a little bit more of a size range. So I think that this is a good one. Like I said, I might have a test link in the below, maybe not, we'll see, I don't know. So this is my latest Guernsey. This is also my like Christmas sweater of my Make 9, because I won't get to an actual Christmas sweater, but it is red and Christmassy, and I'll spend part of my Christmas in the UK, so I think it's really nice. And so yeah, that is the Guernsey. To talk about Christmas sweaters, a little detour here. I think I've determined what my Christmas sweater is. I've downloaded the Lillehammer. You all know it. It's the Dale of Norway. Their Lillehammer Olympic sweater from like the 70s or something. I don't know what year it was, but they do like a Team Norway sweater every year that the Winter Olympics is on, and then they make it. So the Lillehammer is the one that everybody talks about, and it's the popular one. What I'm going to do for that one though is use that as the base, and then I'm going to change all the motifs. So maybe it's like a Christmas tree and a reindeer and something else, and then like the bottom is maybe like snowflakes, and then I'll do it in like green and white and red and maybe like a different green and stuff like that. And then maybe some like intarsia, because I think I want it to say ho 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 on the back. So I do think that I will do a Lillehammer-ish Christmas sweater at one point. Maybe Christmas in July. Would you be interested in Christmas in July knit along? That might be a thing. I'm not really quite sure. That's the plan. That's the big idea. I have a lot of yarn that I've purchased, so I have to work through that before I'm allowed to buy some more stuff. Next is a test knit for my Mana, and it is the Dimensions scarf. And this is really cool. I do have some tension issues at the beginning. I'm hoping that I can block this out to an extent because it makes a little like bubble right here. I'm sure I can get something out of it. I probably should have redone this when I was at this point, but I decided I was going to stick with it because I didn't think my tension was that bad, and I regret that. But yeah, you can see it more on this side. It's really weird, but here it is. Anyway, this is a very small needle knit, which I didn't know, but I was feeling creatively blocked, and I saw this and I thought it was beautiful. This is sections 1 through 5 now, and it has this really cool like Rusamine technique, and then the stitch count varies, and it has a nice little pattern that it makes. So what you do is you knit, and this is with Viking Garn, Alpaca Fine. This is the color 612. It is a light fingering, 50 grams, 166 meters. It recommends 3mm needles. It's fine, and I cannot get gauge on this for the life of me, so I bought 4 of these, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to get gauge, so it's fine. This is, I think it's written for Pasquale, and this was like a dupe that I found on Yarn Sub for it, and this was on sale, so it was like way cheaper, and I could do it that way. So there's that. And then I'm also using the Viking Garn, the mohair, and it is held triple. So what you do is you hold the mohair triple, the alpaca is just 1 strand, and you use this Rusamine technique to make this thing. It's really cool. And then when you lay it out, it has moments of like it shifts slightly. Like here you can see it's going out, and like the border becomes thicker, and then the border becomes thinner, and it also has it on, you know, other places in other sides. And it's really cool. I really like this design. I think it was really like a nice one, and I was feeling really creatively blocked, and I was like, this will get me out of it. And I don't know if it got me out of it, but I'm feeling much more creative now, and I'm enjoying this. The only problem is the test limit is tight. I have a lot of travel coming up this month, and I don't know if I can make it. And I also don't know if I'm gonna have enough yarn. I bought an extra one of the like linen color, but I didn't buy extra mohair. So I have a little bit of fluff in my stash. I might be able to cannibalize a shirt that I never wear. I don't know. I think that there are some options, but I don't know. Do I want to go and buy some more, like 1 extra skein of this? I'm not really quite sure. The pattern I really wanted to do in like a really bright mohair color and like a really dark, rich contrast color, but I couldn't find out of the Viking Garn like a bright, like a rich, dark one. They all had sort of like this grayness to it. So I decided not to do that. I could find mohair that was bright and poppy, but not the alpaca. So I decided on this, which reminds me of like Bauhaus, modernist, where they have these very geometric drawings that are on like it's yellow paper now, but it almost looks like linen color. And so I really liked that, and that's what I wanted to recreate with that. I did like almost go with like a coral mohair, but it was sold out, so that didn't happen. So it's just black and then this linen-y, flaxy color, which I really enjoy. This is 20 rows a day. I don't know if I can finish. I need to up it up a little bit, but yeah, and it takes some time. I'm doing this on my sock needles. These are 2.25 millimeter Chaogu fixed, just because I couldn't get gauge, so I went down. I still think it was supposed to be like 2.75 or 3 millimeter needles. It's a tiny gauge, but like, I mean, it's beautiful. And once this lays out, it will be good. I will block it. Try to block this part out some, see what I can achieve. And then I will also pin it to make these points nice and sharp, because I usually don't pin or my stuff that I block. I really just sort of like lay it flat and like squish it and hope it's good. So that's what I'm planning on with this. But yeah, it's coming along. I'm over halfway through. By the next time I see you, it will be done. The test will be done. Probably patterns coming out early November? Maybe. I don't know. But that's what it is. I shouldn't have signed up for this, but it's beautiful. So that's nice. I also literally, before I started recording and I got an email and I was like, oh, this is the email with the test call for Rebecca Clow's inch sweater, which is basically like, she's 1,000 versions, of course, but there's like a fisherman's ribbed Henley version, and she's doing like male sizing for one. And so I was like, oh, that's the one I want to do. I've knit her Lanark before. I really like it. The yarn is garbage. I use Drops Daisy. It's pilling, it's falling apart. It doesn't look good. I can't wear it out in public, but I like the little bit of the neck like up. I like my neck covered, and I like the half fisherman's rib. So I think that, you know, hopefully I get in. I probably will, even though I am a fairly common size, but like for the male version and the half fisherman's rib, I'm hoping that that will give me a little bit of an advantage. Either way, test knits. Also for the inch sweater, I have some Jacob fleece. I ordered 4 different types of West Yorkshire spinner's yarn, and I'm gonna knit with it, and we're going to eventually do a product review. This would be one of them. This is the Croft DK. There's a Croft Aran. I got the Croft DK in black, which I'm going to cast on soon, and the BFL fleece, and then the undyed Jacob fleece is what I got. So there will be a review video on that, I don't know, end of next year, whenever I knit up all these sweaters that I don't have time to knit. This next one is my Marius, and I really cranked out the body on this, and that had to go on hold because I was using the needles that I needed for the sleeves to do this, but now this is done, so this is back on the needles. But what I did is I took the pattern for the 3-color drop shoulder steeked version, and I was like, I can make a yoke sweater. It was a good first pass. I would say that if I was knitting this as like a test or something, that I would probably have to rip out and redo. But for this, it will block out. It will be fine, right? So what I did is I got the actual Marius pattern, which is the 3-color drop shoulder one from Debray Bouderai. It is a yarn shop that sells all Sandnes Garn and patterns, and I would have to buy the yarn anyway, so the pattern was free. It's literally just a front page, including gauge, chart, construction, all of it. I love it. I love a short, concise pattern. I think it's great. And then I bought yarn. I bought the Pure Gynt in black and whatever this gray is, the light gray. And it's not the marled one. I know there are different ones. And so how did I modify? So I looked at some videos and some books I had, and the way that this is done is like here between the motifs, there's like a section with like 2 rows of just one color. And I think that you could increase in that. So I used like very basic increase stuff with it, and I came up with this. Did I do it correctly? The answer is no. I think that the collar is too small, and then I increased too much. You can see it kind of like goes out. And I think by this point I have too many stitches, because you can see it like bunches a little bit. Some of that will come out in blocking, but also just like the shape of this, it really is like almost like a turtleneck and then out. So I could have done with different numbers, let's say. I wish I would have increased with a bigger neck. The neck is way too tight. And then this was too big of an increase. And then by this point I had too many stitches. I should have increased more, I think right here and maybe right here. Maybe. So what I did was German twisted cast on, because I think that that is the best one for a top-down sweater. I did some short rows because I'm a slouchy person and I like to know where the back is on a yoke sweater. Part of this is because, one, I wanted a yoked Marius, full stop. But also I have a sweater called the Ott Sweater by Jared Flood, which is like the second sweater I ever made, and it is rough. The We Are Knitters yarn was garbage. It's the same yarn as the Drops Daisy, so you see a theme here. I need to replace these 2 garments. And yeah, it just doesn't, I can't wear it out, but I love a yoke sweater, so I wanted to make a new one. Short rows here. I did the increases within the pattern and the motif on the, like in rings almost. Instead of wedge, it was in rings. I increased a little bit more short rows on the back. You can't see it, so that it fits well. It does fit well. It is a bit bunchy in the big exo area, but it's fine. Knit down, I did a little bit of shaping because I do like that V shape. I do not have it, but so you can see a little bit of shaping, and then sleeves just knit down from the top. So I decided to buy a pattern, completely ignore it, use the chart, and redo it. I will give you, I think that the feedback that I gave on it in my ability to do a yoke is there. Designing yokes, I think, is difficult. I like a yoke sweater because I think it goes well with rounded shoulders, which is what I have, but I don't think that it necessarily is for everybody, and designing a yoke sweater for me seems difficult. I haven't really done a whole lot of yoke sweaters, so I'm like not that into how to fit it best to multiple sizes. I could probably figure out for me, but for multiple sizes, I don't know. I'm not there yet, but in the future, maybe, who knows. So this is my Marius in pure Gynt. Last but not least is my hand turner. I am knitting this in yarn that I got sent from Rosarios. This is their Folclore, and it is so round, so fluffy, not fluffy, so round. It's like really bouncy. It's a really, really great yarn for texture and cables. And so that's what I'm using it for. This was gifted yarn because they gave me a sample, and I was like, where do I buy this? And they're like, we will give it to you. I am almost done with the yoke. So it's just a lot of knitting because it's all over 1x1 cables. It has not raglan seam lines, but like some seam lines, and that's where the increases are. They are not in the motif, they're like in the seams. So there's a very particular way that I've figured out how to do it, and there was a lot of math and a lot of headache and crazy, but let's look at it. I got it, sorry. This I started flat, so I started flat, I knit for a bit, joined in the round, and then I went for it. It is black, so it's hard to show, but it's this all over Does Diamonds texture. This is my Does Diamonds sweater, did I say that? I have a Does Diamonds hat and Does Diamonds cowl if you're interested in figuring out this texture. I also have videos on how to do like 1x1 crossover cables without a cable needle on my how-to section. So there is the flat working in the round. I charted this out. I have a little bit to go on the yoke, but not a whole lot. It is this little bit of like saddle shoulder into like raglan-y vibes, and you can see, just look at the cables. And so the cables are going to come, they're like flat, and then they go down a little bit, and then they're going to like creep here and then join under the yarn. I'm also putting a gusset in this because I am gusset obsessed, which means the yoke on this is a bit more shallow than I normally would put it. So like I think I'm probably about an inch and a half away from splitting for the yoke, but that's just because the gussets are like an inch and a half higher than my like preferred yoke depth, so it increases that up to here, and then it will be resolved in the sleeves and in the body. So I'm looking forward to how elegant that will look and how beautiful that will look. But like, I mean, just the shoulders, you see this? I just think it's going to be great. And then this is like super thick because it's all 1x1 cables. So it will be really nice, really warm. The stitches will fill out a little bit when I block it. And so this is like a dream sweater for me, and I'm very excited to do it. And once I'm done with the yoke, I don't really have any I have like underarm shaping to do, but like it's really not that bad. So this will be the hard part. It's hard on my hands, so it's not going very fast. It is on my 4.5 millimeter Chow Goose, but I think it's like 24 stitches per like 4 inches or something like that. Like it's a very dense gauge. And I mean, it just takes a long time. I think that by the end of the yoke, I'll have like 400 stitches or something crazy. And I'm not a big boy, and this is not very oversized. So that's what's happening with that. I have no idea how I'm doing this rib. But the edging either needs to be something like I did with my Hishi sweater, which is actually this pattern in edging, or it needs to be like 3.2 millimeters, like this worsted weight yarn on like a very fine needle that like pulls it in. So I'm quite undecided on what that is, but I really like this. It's just going to take a long time. It's not a priority. It hurts my hands. I find it beautiful, but it also, the stitch takes forever. But yeah, almost done with the yoke, and then I will be very excited to join in the round and just like knit on this for, I don't know, all winter. Hopefully I can wear it this year. I should be able to do that, right? I don't know anymore. So that's that. Those are all the things that I'm working on. This is my finished garment. And yes, the only other thing that I want to discuss is something that I've mentioned, but like needs to be priority, is I need a cardigan for work. I really need a cardigan for work. I have a pattern that I got that's like a vintage pattern. Here it is. It's this vintage pattern, and it has what they call a fancy rib. I haven't opened it yet. It literally cost me £1. I don't know. It says it's GK yarn. We'll see how this goes, but it will be my first vintage pattern knit. It's also something that I don't really have to think about, and so when I travel in the next 2 weeks, that I can take this with me. So I'll use like my wooden needles. I'll use some of that West Yorkshire spinners that I purchased, and I will make a cardigan, because like the new place we sit is very hot, but it also, some parts of the building are very cold, and I need a cardigan for work. So this will jump in line. I don't really have any business casting on something new. My needles are pretty full for the month, but I would like this garment, and I don't usually like have a wardrobe need for something, because I really just like, wear the same thing, but like, that's it. So I want to prioritize that. And that's it. I think that's all I have. I hope you all are well. It is crazy out there. So take care of yourself. Take care of those close to you, right? Like, let's be kind to people. Let's be kind to ourselves. And then I will check you later. Goodbye.